So people ask me what are you going to talk about, so I'm saying let's see. But as I had a few minutes, I did one or two drawings. I would like to talk to you about planet Sahaj this morning. And I would like to explain to you this planet on which you... And I want to explain a paradox, because the paradox is that we are and we are not at the same time. Because there is a discrepancy between what we say we are, and we say we are yogis, and what sometimes we seem to be. So people can be a little bit confused or depressed about it. I remember sometimes people ask me, since how long time are you in Sahaj? People ask me, since how long time are you in Sahaj? It's embarrassing. It's almost if you ask an old lady her age. Because in August, I will say I'm in Sahaj since 40 years. And then I have to look at myself in the mirror and I say, now what is this? A Mahayogi? A mini yogi? So I have to explain. The explanation is very simple, but Boris has to know that with the translation, I'm not saying whether it's 1 hour with or without translation. See, Sri Mataji explained to me how the Adi Kundalini was awakened in Nargal, on the border of the Indian Ocean. Sri Mataji explained to me how the Adi Kundalini was awakened in Nargal. Yeah. And it looks a bit like a krimi, because she went there to spy on a Rakshasa who had a seminar, because there was a big Rajneesh camp. And Sri Mataji went there to see what was happening. Then, what she told me is that she could see with her yogic powers how Rajneesh was possessing everybody. And then what she says is that she realized that advance was much more advanced than what she thought. Don't ask me to explain what Sri Mataji knows and doesn't know, because, we can't understand. But basically, this is what she was saying. And she felt that if it would not happen now, en masse realization, mankind would be destroyed. We are talking about May 1917, so you can see. We take our time towards destruction. So then comes the important bit of the story. Then she described how she was sitting under this Bodhi tree, and then the Adi Kundalini, just rose, and she described it. But what she says that the Kundalini was released although mankind was not ready. This is the important thing. And this explains what's going on today. You see, when in the past people would get the realization, they would get the realization having cleaned the entire system. All the chakras were clean, the attention was nirmal, the attention was pure, nobody could get, no question of being possessed. People had reached the level where Kundalini would rise. But Sri Mataji, because she is the overall overlord of the entire system, she rewrote the divine books. She did something that no deity, no avatar, no saint has or could ever do before her. She gave realization to people who were not prepared. And that also explained the 10 last years of her life, where she said she would go into sannyasa. And we think she would go to Pratishthan and withdraw, but no, she went into a condition in which she withdrew her attention apparently from a physical form, and that for 10 years. And it was a tremendous tapasya. And we understand that she did this because she says she took us out she took us all unprepared as we are, Sahaja yogis, in a cosmic body. So she did that tapasya to purify all the options of what would happen once she leaves. But basically now it is up to us. You know, I told you how in the Animal Channel you watch how the mummy bear is throwing the kids in the wilderness, the little bear, and they want to stay with mummy, but they cannot do it because she kicked them away. Because that's the only way the little bear are going to become big bear and that they can survive. That's why she does it. And this was these 10 years where she withdrew, let's say 2003, 2013, more or less. But this also explains why we are yogis and some of us are still struggling. Because the work that we didn't do before the rising of the Kundalini, we need to do it after the rising of the Kundalini. And if we understand that, we don't feel bad about having difficulties. So now to understand a bit how all this thing works, let's go back to Planet Sahaja. Ja, ich erinnere mich, ich war einmal in der Josef-Milischer Gasse, wir hatten ein Seminar und ich habe einen Kreis gezeichnet und es gesehen und das war ein vollkommener Kreis und ich war ganz beeindruckt mit mich selbst und jetzt kann ich das nicht mehr machen, das ist nicht mehr ein perfektes Kreis. Ich kann Okay, right, so there are two forces that we are dealing with. One is the centripetal force, which takes you in, and one is the centrifugal force, which takes you out. Now, in one tape, Sri Mataji says it's not so reassuring, but she says this force is anxious to throw you out. So that corresponds to two types of religion. One is the inner religion, which corresponds to the centripetal movement, and the centrifugal religion takes you out. Okay? The external religion. So Sri Mataji, she asked in public and in private, she asked, what will you do once that I will be gone? Will you do the same thing as you did to the other religions? Okay? So, what is the inner religion? We go back to that. What is the external religion? The external religion is that you do not, okay, the internal religion is Sahaja Sthiti, the state of Sahaja. It's the state, Sahaja Sthiti. That's the inner religion. And this is what you all know when you are in thoughtless awareness, when you are in love, when you are in peace, when you are in sasana. But because of this process of purification in unprepared yogi was not completed, we are not always in Sahaja Sthiti when we call ourselves Sahaja Yoga. So we face the temptations of external religions, and this is what Sri Mataji has tested for the last 10 years. So, you see, if we are in Sahaja Sthiti, the authority is within ourselves. And I don't, let's say, if I am in Sahaja Sthiti, I don't need to quote Sri Mataji. I don't need to tell you Sri Mataji said this, therefore you must follow, because you will feel my vibrations and you will know that what I say is true. That is the Sthiti. But if we are not in Sahaja Sthiti, then we look for the authority outside. Okay? Outside. External religion, look for authority outside. So, for instance, you have the Catholic or the Sunni model, where that somebody follows the Pope or the Caliph in the name of Christ or in the name of Allah. They don't follow Christ or Allah, they follow the Pope or the Caliph. This model of externalization, we had to test it because in our collectivity, we did have some people who would follow one individual or another, thinking that this is the authority we have to follow. But if we keep our discrimination, we take all the inputs that we have to, but we follow Sri Mataji only like Sri Ganesha. Now, another temptation of the external religion, which also has been tested, is hierarchies. Hierarchy.
I know.
You see, if you have bureaucrats as leaders, then, you know, like a shoemaker is making shoes, a bureaucrat is making bureaucracies. I am a bureaucrat, I know. I ended my career acting Assistant Secretary General, and I was, you know, when we were in the castle with Sri Mataji, I was a bit naughty, you know, I was sort of teasing Sosipi, and I was telling Sri Mataji, I am one level under Sosipi, I will always remain one level under Sosipi. But you see, the business about democracy, because we had, with the temptation for hierarchy, you have the temptation for bureaucracy, you have temptation for rules and regulation, and some people even wrote rules how to take vibration with little envelopes. All of a sudden, we were in the world of complete idiocy.
Oh, sorry, it's too long.
Where did you get lost?
Bureaucracy and
Okay. And you see, with bureaucracy you get lost anyway. Then another temptation of the external religion, because you structure all this nicely, and it's like the shell, but the stiti is not there, because the more shell you have, the less stiti you have. So you see, another temptation you have to understand of the external religion is, you understand the word proselytism, is to convert to the new faith. In the new faith, you convert people to the new faith. Because it's like activity, it's like, you know, you do more programs, you have more ashrams, you're a little bit like a salesman of Coca-Cola, you sell more bottles, you give more realization. You see, the model for this is Paul, Saint Paul. He was never with Christ. He didn't know Christ, he didn't listen to Christ, and all of a sudden he was the big leader in Christianity. Busy writing letters, organizing public programs, organizing bhajan groups. We have also those characters. Now we have to understand, Sri Mataji did say our job is to give realization. And our job is to make people Sahaja Yogis. But if I am not a Sahaja Yogi, if I am not in Sahaj Sthiti, how am I going to do that? If you want to give drawing lessons in the school to the child, you need to know drawing. If you want to bring to the world of Sahaj, you need to manifest the world of Sahaj. These are variations on a theme that you know. But when you see it in the context of the 10 last years that we went through, which were very difficult, you understand that Sri Mataji has tested these two forces. And the master of the testing is called Mahamaya. So she's the one who tests and she's the one who gives the notes, not us. What we can try is to do our best. But what I'd like to suggest is our best is to understand that Sahaja Sthiti, the reality of Sahaja Yoga, is not about having ashrams, having council, singing bhajans even, although of course it's all part of it. But the essence of it is to be in the Sahaj state. And if we are honest and we look at 24 hours, we can say, okay, how many of those 24 hours am I in the Sahaj state? Let's ask ourselves this question, honestly. Because honesty brings light, and in light we see, and in seeing we correct. So, this is 25 years of Sahaja Yoga in Hungary. Let's give a hand to all the Hungarian Sahaja Yogis. Okay, what is the inner religion? The inner religion means going to the axis of planet Sahaj. Now, what is the axis of the planet Sahaj? Ta-dam! You know the story where there was a discussion among the, don't ask me to explain that, okay? But the story is there was a discussion among the three murtis, who is the biggest? Is it Sri Shiva, is it Sri Vishnu, or is it Sri Rama? And then they saw the lingam. So the story goes that, this is supposed. So the story is that the swan of Sri Brahma went up to find out where was the end of the lingam, and Vishnu took the form of a ball to dig into the earth to find where was the bottom of the lingam. My bow is not very good, but and so they could not find it. But Brahmadeva cheated, and because he said that he found it, and Vishnu was honest and he said, I cannot find the end of it. So as a result, they say Brahmadeva is not worshipped in India. But the sense of this anecdote is that the axis of planet Sahaj is the lingua. And this is what Sri Mataji tells us when she started a public program. She said, firstly, I bow to the seekers of truth. And by the way, we still need to have the courage to stand by the truth when we are Sahaja Yogis, by the way. And the point two that she said is, the truth is that you are the spirit. And the spirit is Sri Shiva, in the sense that our consciousness goes into the truth of the Sahaj Sthiti, which is joy. So the destination of the inner religion is the axis of the Sahaj planet. And this is why we are also going to celebrate Shiva Puja tomorrow. Now, our journey, my sisters and my brothers, our journey is the story of the return. We return home. We went through this long adventure. We went through this long picnic, which is called the human existence. And now we are on the way to the return from where we came from. While being in a human consciousness, because we came from God and we return to God. So this is, if you want, this is a little snapshot of the axis. Here you have the material world. Oops! Someone was hurt? No. Well, that's the material world, I suppose. Yeah, I think it's safer to put it down. Now, this is nicely timed, because the material world will pass away, but we will stay in eternity, because eternity is our home. In the trip of the return, we are here in the material world, and That is also where you have display of the Maya, of the centrifugal and the centripetal. But in the history of mankind, in the history of religions, this journey took place, and first we crossed the Devalok. Devalok is when our ancestors worshipped the Deva. So, for instance, the Zoroastrian worshipped the fire, the Incas worshipped Surya, the Greek, with the pantheon, they worshipped the Devas. Then, more recently, you could say, since the invention of science, we crossed the Brahmalok. Because Sri Brahma is the grandsire of the creation, and with science, we actually study what he has done. So science is a study of God, but of course the scientists don't know that. That's obvious. They think they study matter, but they study matter as done by the creator of matter. So the entire scientific inquiry which brought our society to the state where it is now is going through the Brahmalok. And the next, I have put Vaikuntha here, that's the Sri Vishnu Lok, but it's not that we went to Vaikuntha, but what happened is that we, becoming seekers, we started being actor in the drama of our own evolution. And seekers are not just you and me sitting now. The pre-Socratic philosophers like Pythagoras or Parmenides or consciousness, the power of evolution. So Boris, I'm going to finish very soon. Because we arrive to the axis of the axis. And here it is the sthiti. I know Sri Mataji teased us and told us to count how many people we gave realization. But believe me, I never counted in my entire life how many people I gave realization to. It's enough for me if my mother in the heavens knows. But if we get ourselves in the sthiti state, then our just being there will raise Kundalini. Sri Mataji said once, look at Christ, he had only 12 disciples, and see how far Christianity went, it conquered the world. She said, I can transform the world with 10 really good yogis. So the journey for us is toward the sthiti, because these are where then we are going to get the blessings of Sri Shiva, which is Kalyan. Kalyan, there is a speech of Sri Mataji on this, maybe you can hear it. But Kalyan is a state where we are blessed on all sides. If we can all understand that our most important job is to be what we claim to be, the job is done. And I am very confident that we are all together on the right path. You see, there is a relationship because seekers are in the evolution mode, and yogis are not in the evolution mode. But there is a relationship between the two. The link is in the name of Sri Lakshmi. Anantashta, because Sri Lakshmi is the power of evolution. She's the Shakti of Sri Vishnu, she becomes Mahalakshmi, she is the power of evolution. Mahalakshmi is the power of evolution. But there is a name of Sri Lakshmi where she's said to be Anantasta, which means she resides in eternity. So eternity is the eternal present. Eternity is when we are in Nirvichara Samadhi. Eternity is peaceful. So before, we were evolving through action, reaction, synthesis, disorder, petitions, letters on the email, accusing, defending. That was before. Most yogis have the intelligence to understand that this is not our model. Most yogis understand that evolution now for us is peaceful. We don't need to do anything, we become. This is what Sahaj is. You will see temptations to make out Sahaj a cult, to make out Sahaj a sect, to make out of Sahaj a religion. Sri Mataji, through the 10 years of withdrawals, has allowed those options to develop in small doses. But this is processed by the collective consciousness of the yogi who are in Sahaj Sthiti. So you see, if we, as a collective, we go in the Sahaj Sthiti, which is the only direction where we want to go, which is the reason why you came in Sahaja Yoga. You didn't come in Sahaja Yoga for ein Blödsinn. You came in Sahaja Yoga to be Satchitananda. And we all understand that. We are all brothers and sisters. We all want that. There is no animosity. There is no fight. There is forgiveness. There is compassion. But there is also the courage to stand by the truth. Because the truth is this. If yogis don't have the courage to stand by the truth, they miss the axis. And my sense is that in the collective overall, there is, even if they cannot explain it in a speech like this, but there is the understanding that this is what they want. And this is why there is progress inside, although you don't think so, because you see division, you see fighting, you see various things. But actually we are growing. There is more awareness, there is more understanding. And for instance, when we came here, yesterday we arrived at this hotel, this didn't happen like that. When I was doing seminars in Austria 25 years ago, arriving in the hotel, I became thoughtless. Why did I become thoughtless? Not because hotel fabulous, otherwise we give it one more star. But I became thoughtless because all of you at that moment were driving towards this hotel with the desire to be all together for this weekend. So let's have faith in ourselves.